We're joined now by the spokesperson for Harry Dunn's family, Radd Seiger, and the lawyer representing 6 of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims, Lisa Bloom. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for joining us this morning. Radd, can we start with you? Sort of how did this idea come about that you were going to try and join forces in order to effect some sort of exchange, it seems?
Yeah, good morning, Ben. I knew that Lisa was in the UK last week calling for Prince Andrew to come to the United States to help the authorities here with their inquiries. And I noticed from some of our followers that they were criticizing her for calling for Prince Andrew to come when the Americans were not sending Anne Sacoolas back. And it just struck me that although the cases are completely different, there is a common thread that both victims on the opposite side of the Atlantic are looking for that justice. And, look, this is about common sense. There are people here. Anne Sacoolas has been charged with a very serious crime. Prince Andrew clearly has information that he can give to help these poor victims of Jeffrey Epstein. And, it just struck me that, coming together was a sensible thing to do, to speak to the public on both sides of the Atlantic, to urge the authorities to frankly do the right thing. And if anybody seriously wants to argue that what Lisa and I are proposing is not the right thing to do, I'll meet them anytime, anywhere to have that debate.
Lisa, you represent a number of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. What questions do you still want Prince Andrew to answer?
I want him to answer where he was in 2001 when Virginia Roberts says she was trafficked to him and that she was in a nightclub with him, the Tramp nightclub. And I represent a witness who says she remembers seeing Prince Andrew and Virginia Roberts together at that nightclub. He has said he never met her. He doesn't know her. He wasn't there with her. So we now have 2 women who say he was there. He says he wasn't. I think there are a lot of follow-up questions that investigators would like to ask him. He has said that he would answer questions, and yet he has refused to do it. So he needs to get on a plane and come here to New York and answer those questions and do the right thing. And I want to thank Radd for raising this idea with me, because once I looked into it, I realized he was absolutely right, that there are a lot of eerie parallels. There are teenagers who were victims. Harry Dunn was 19. My client Kiki, who spoke at a press conference yesterday, she was 19 when she was victimized by Jeffrey Epstein. Virginia Roberts was 17. We're talking about ordinary teenagers who were taken advantage of and people in authority who are escaping justice, and it's just wrong.
Lisa, I mean, just on the night in question, of course, we have heard in that Newsnight interview that Prince Andrew not only denies meeting the woman in question, Virginia Roberts, but also has an alternative story, which is that he was at Pizza Express in Woking on that night. So he says he has an explanation, but of course it's very different doing a BBC interview than it is doing an FBI interview. Now, you 2 are coming together to join forces to try and effect a sort of exchange, a swap. But Lisa, what would can you put pressure on Prince Andrew to do what everybody thinks is the right thing, to answer these questions simply as a potential witness here in the UK, so he wouldn't go over to the States? Is there an opportunity for the FBI to come here instead? Is that more likely to happen?
The appropriate thing for him to do would be to get on a plane and to come out here and to sit down. And by the way, with regard to the Pizza Express, here's how investigations are done. We don't just have to take somebody's word for it. There will be documents. In the case of Prince Andrew, there will be calendars. There will be a security detail. There will be records of where he was and when he was there. So it's not just about him answering questions. It's about producing all of the documents. It's about encouraging his staff also to talk to investigators so that we can get to the bottom of this. And it's not just about Prince Andrew. It's about other high-profile people associated with Jeffrey Epstein, who are also being investigated. And Prince Andrew spent a great deal of time with him, so he may have information about the others. He has said, Prince Andrew, if push comes to shove, he'll do it. Well, push has come to shove. It is time for justice for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. It has been far too long that they have been suffering in silence. And they are now coming out, they're speaking forward. I represent a group of them. And this is not going to go away. If he thinks that this is just going to blow over, he is sadly mistaken.
I think, Radd, the push is certainly getting stronger, and the coming together of these two campaigns is certainly high profile. If these things needed more high profile, Susanna's got the front of the Daily Mail this morning.
Yeah, Radd, we've spoken obviously a number of times, and also, you know, we've spoken to Charlotte and Tim, Harry's parents, and every time, or the first time that they saw Anne Sacoolas get behind the wheel of a car again over in the States, I know it broke Charlotte's heart. I mean, it absolutely broke her heart. And I know that, you know, I'm pretty sure she's aware now of these pictures on the front of the Daily Mail this morning. The fugitive, she's still behind the wheel. This is Anne Sacoolas filling up her car on the school run. The US mother refusing to return to the UK to face charges over Harry Dunn's death. I mean, what impact does this have on the family when all they want is for her to explain what happened? They want to know what happened in Harry's last moments, because Anne Sacoolas was one of the only people there, and can give them some kind of comfort when it comes to closure and to answer questions and face justice for what happened.
Look,
and then they see pictures like this.
You're making all my points for me, Susanna, absolutely. And you know the really, really sad thing about this, the tragic thing about this, and everybody knows Charlotte now. She's the most wonderful, decent, compassionate, magnanimous woman you'd ever care to meet. And in the back of her mind, still to this day, she thinks that there is a chance that Anne Sacoolas will wake up one morning and do what the whole world knows is the right thing to do. And, you know, it's just another, you know, terrible day. That sort of hope that she had is just shattered. And I've looked closely at those photographs, and it just does look to me that Anne Sacoolas is moving on with her life as if that collision, that catastrophic collision, never happened. And I was with Charlotte in Washington the day that we saw that footage before Christmas, and it floored her. And I don't mind admitting to you, Susanna, I had a complete breakdown as well. And I've spoken to Charlotte overnight. It's the same thing again. How can a human being, whether you're a diplomat or not, do what is happening here and just move on from this? I think the whole world now, you know, just sees it. It is crazy. But the important thing, as far as I'm concerned, is that Charlotte and the parents are at home this morning just completely shattered again. Looking at those photos is just horrible.
Radd, do you sense their resolve in their hope that Anne Sacoolas might one day come back with these pictures come out and, you know, the continued rejection of that extradition is slowly ebbing away, and that they're sort of losing their will to fight on?
Ben, quite the opposite. And one of the remarkable things, you know, in meeting one of Lisa's clients yesterday, is you look at their eyes and you see the resolve and the determination to get justice. And I obviously only met her briefly, but in Charlotte's case, you see quite the opposite, in fact, Ben, that every day that resolve is stiffening. And as Lisa just said, insofar as Prince Andrew is concerned, these parents are never going to go away. So whoever on the other side is advising Anne Sacoolas and making that calculation that this will blow over one day, as Lisa just said, it is never going to happen.